Morning. I can't hear you. You're muted.
How's that?
That's better. Yep.
I think your camera is switched.
Oh, I
Can you
even
tell?
noticed that. Give me a second.
It's a little disturbing. All right. Here's Casey. Yep. Better.
Great.
Yes. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am okay. Up. Morning, Casey.
Morning, Kathleen. She's muted too.
You're muted.
Sorry.
Yep. I know. You and everybody else. Alicia's here.
No, she's not.
Yep.
No, that's not here.
Interesting view. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, there she is.
Good morning.
Hi, Alicia.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing well, thank you. Alicia's here. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, y'all.
Good morning.
Hey, Kelly.
How are you?
Just a second. I'm a little hungry. I'm gonna go get a snack. I'll be right back.
Nice of you to join us. John's here.
Oh, we lost Belinda.
What we gained, Josie.
Oh, there she is.
I'm back.
John is coming in.
Oops.
John.
You're
different lately.
What is that?
Huh?
looking a little electronic.
Oh, John.
Oh,
There
there,
he is.
There you are.
Yes.
I don't know. I kind of like that look.
Here's Eve. How's everybody?
Doing well.
Good. No earthquake this morning.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
That's right. I'm here.
Looking on the bright side.
Great.
There's
Eve.
half of
Oh,
her.
there she
There
is. Oh, okay.
Here she is.
Good morning.
Good
Full
morning.
color.
Everybody doing okay?
Yeah.
I just tried to adjust the lamp so I could see better in here, and I burnt my little finger. So
No.
Oh.
One more thing to love about 2020.
I know.
All right. Looks like we are all here. You ready to get going?
Sure.
All right.
Welcome to summer worship at the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte. I'm Kathleen Carpenter, and I'm the Director of Religious Education for the children and youth of this congregation. I'm here today, as you can see, in a rather interesting space. And as you can also see, I'm not alone. Those of you familiar with Zoom will recognize the Brady Bunch type configuration of this virtual gathering room. Today, it's doubling as both our worship space and our staff conference room. As many of you may remember, on the Sunday before public school starts in Charlotte, the professional staff leads the service, which is what we're doing today. We're continuing with the summer theme of celebrating community by celebrating our own staff community. And to see exactly, we're celebrating our community within the larger community of our congregation. And I can say the word community more times by saying this service is actually titled Working in Community for Our Community. Our hope this morning is that we share a bit of what we do behind the scenes together to serve our congregation's mission and you. And we'll do all this in the format of a staff meeting, because as you probably guessed, we are now meeting virtually on Zoom. The service will actually be conducted like one of our staff meetings, which actually kind of resemble a worship service, minus the music. I never really thought about that until we put the service together for this morning. There's the welcome and the opening reading and personal check-in, concerns of the congregation. And then when we do the business or work, a part of our meeting, we've even framed that as the reflection, which works because it often requires a lot of reflection of our part around the vision and mission. I hope you find our attempt at transparency combined with a bit of whimsy a nice addition to our series on celebrating community. So whether you be a member who recognizes all of us on this screen or a visitor who sees all unfamiliar faces, welcome. We're glad you're here. And because we know many of you missed the opportunity to socialize in person, during the playing of our opening song, we encourage you to go to our public Facebook page and post a greeting to those joining us today. And of course, you're always welcome to sing along with the song. On behalf of your professional staff, we're glad you're joining us.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Hey.
Glad you're here.
As we light the symbol of our community, and in the words of Betz Wieneck, may this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us.
One of the communities that I cherish is the community of the other members of staff for our congregation. At the outset, we each have something in common. Each of us found our way to working here in one way or another by following our desire to do meaningful work in service to a community. From that shared starting place, we've accumulated conversations, disagreements, breakthroughs. We've weathered change, and we've eaten our fair share of birthday cake together. Through staff meetings, collaboration on various programming, holiday parties, and navigating Charlotte escape rooms together, we've created our own staff community within our larger congregational community. We know about significant events in one another's lives and continually bear witness to the ongoing ups and downs we each face. We know what frustrates and motivates each other. We know one another's strengths and growing edges, all while sharing in the same day in and day out rhythm of getting things done. Today, we, your congregational staff, will take you behind the scenes to have a look at our life together, to take a look at how we do things and how we relate as we work in community to engage and energize our congregation as we journey together towards spiritual, societal, and environmental transformation.
It's my turn today to share the opening reading. In her memoir in verse entitled Shout, Laurie Haltz Anderson writes, among other things, about the joys and challenges of spending part of her teenage years in Denmark, finding community through family, learning the language and culture of the Danes. She writes, one Saturday morning, our aunt and uncle joined us after breakfast for an important family meeting. I listened deep, scrambling through my dictionary when confused. The problem was dire. Rats in the barn were eating everything in sight. I was so excited because I had learned enough to be in on the action, to contribute. I looked up a few words, cleared my throat, and explained that in America, when rats got into the grain, we poisoned them. But you had to be careful to get rid of the bodies so they didn't rot. Dead silence, followed by everyone politely pretending that I had ceased to exist. Months later, when I could actually understand and speak, I brought up that awkward moment and asked where I had gone wrong. Turns out, there were no rats in the barn. They'd been planning our grandmother's birthday party and were shocked to hear that in America, we used poison on such occasions. We laughed so hard we peed our pants. And now I'm wondering if everybody would be willing to share a moment when they learned about community. And I'll start. In high school, I was in the high school band. I played a variety of instruments, and we were a community. We traveled together. We didn't do much marching, but when we did, we laughed together and enjoyed it. And we skipped class together. One of our flute players could exactly replicate the band director's signature on a hall pass. So we spent quite a bit of time in the band room.
Belinda, I can relate to skipping class on occasion. But I first learned about community when we moved from Atlanta to the neighborhood where I came of age. I came of age with a group of young people who I still have relationships with today. And even when I go home and I run into people in town who grew up in that neighborhood, we still have those bonds today. We check on each other. We're there for each other. And I know that this is a community that I will be a part of for the rest of my life.
Well, I learned about community, and people have heard me share this before, by growing up the daughter of an Army officer. I always knew that my childhood was unique. My parents made a point of reminding us how lucky we were to be military kids. And it was all explained in a we and them kind of way. We, the military, and them, those poor civilians. My people, my community were other Army families. We had our own language, our own culture, our own support system, and a shared appreciation for the challenges and privileges of military life as dependents. I still treasure that community because I have so many friends who were also Army brats that I stay in contact with.
For me, it was the church I grew up in. Most of our social gatherings and even some of our vacations were spent with friends from church.
I'm actually thinking about church too, in a way, John. One of the things I learned community was my home congregation's youth group. And we shared this kind of dusty, dark room, but it was our shared space. It belonged to us. And we talked about things together there we wouldn't talk about at home or at school. And I just, experiencing this intense time of life together, felt a real sense of belonging with them.
I learned about community also through church, through St. Philip's Episcopal Church, where I understood that we all pitched in to make things happen. We would visit people who could no longer attend, and I remember helping in the kitchen and doing all of that. I also remember that any adult could help me, any adult in the congregation, and any adult in the congregation could also check me when I was doing something I wasn't supposed to do, which was also helping me.
I'll note that we have 2 delinquents who learned about community by skipping school, and 3 church people. I'm not sure what that says about us, but so I was thinking about the summer I turned 16. I started working at a summer camp up in the mountains in South Carolina, and I did that for 4 years. But the year I started, I was the youngest person on staff, so I was with all of these older adolescent boys, and I learned a lot about community, both positively and perhaps something akin to the skipping school. We worked very hard and devotedly during the week, and on the weekends, we didn't. Interesting to hear all the ways that we get shaped by community and what that means to us, how that carries over into how we interact, not only in this circle, but in the larger circle of the congregation. Belinda, thanks for sharing today's reading.
One of the things that we do to start many of our meetings and small groups in our congregation is to do a check-in. We as staff do that too. We share what's going on in our lives, the good and the bad. We recognize that we're all coming with thoughts and feelings about what's happening in the rest of our lives. And we're not showing up as just, machines to get things done. We're human, and we want to be human together. Over the years, we as staff have shared an awful lot. We've been through some stuff, and we've been through it together. For instance, John, over the years, you've shared a lot about trying your best to be a good, caring son to your parents who are aging, who are in different parts of the country, going through their health issues and their moves and the death of your stepmother. I know that's been a lot. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Kelly. And Kathleen, you've shared so much about the ups and downs of your mother's health challenges in the last years of her life, and you took us through that journey, very personal journey. And you've also shared the joy of being a grandmother many times, and it's just been delightful to be a part of that.
Thank you. And I wanted to say a little bit about Jay and what I've learned about him over the many years of staff meetings. And I think one of the things that I noted was how much he really cherishes family, both that of his birth and the one that he's created with his partner, Melissa, and their child, Emerson. One of the things I really enjoyed hearing about, and we heard about it a lot because it pretty much consumed his life for a while, was when they purchased the house that his great-grandfather built way back in 1897 in Allendale County, South Carolina. And the stories that he told of the renovations were not always really great, but he also shared how wonderful it was to have that special time with Melissa and Emerson to get away from everything and just be in the country. So, Jay, thank you for sharing all that. That was really nice.
Thanks, Casey. And I was thinking about Alicia, and when you started sharing about your looking for your first house to purchase and all of the ups and downs that you went through, you got excited about one and it would fall through and we'd get all interested and I think I found it. And then something would happen with that. There'd be an inspection, or I don't remember all the details, but it just felt like a lot of ups and downs of you getting excited and us getting excited. And then when it finally worked out and your kind of sense of personal satisfaction and pride that you were now a homeowner, and our feeling, not just that we were happy for you that you were a homeowner, but I think behind that for us, I know for me as the chief of staff, when I realized that you were buying a home and you were putting down roots, it kind of signaled to me that, Alicia is here for the long haul. She's not going to pick up and leave next week. And so we were pulling for you. I was pulling for you to get a house because I wanted you settled here and on this staff for many years to come. So I really appreciated your sharing that with us, the ups and downs of your purchase of your first house.
Thanks, Jay. It was really a roller coaster ride, but I'm glad I got it done, and I'm happy to having taken roots here. It also reminds me of hearing about Kelly when she decided that she wanted to further her education and go to graduate school. I know that was a huge undertaking, and I'm glad that we were here to be able to support you and help you move forward in that direction to take on this huge undertaking. And I know now that you're in the midst of all of this and you're thriving. And I'm glad that we were able to be a community for you and help encourage you to better yourself.
I'd like to share a little bit about Eve, how special it was when you joined our staff as a new parent, and you were not shy about the challenges, but also the joys of raising Ethan, and just the little things, the little panic, there's a fever and oh my goodness, he did this today. And I just really, as a parent of older children, I really appreciated being able to kind of vicariously relive the younger baby days. And then, in addition to that, you were on our staff as an expectant parent more recently, and we're not shy about sharing about that either. And I really value those stories that you told us.
Thank you, Belinda, for riding the waves of sickness through my household with me. And Belinda, I'm thinking of the times you shared about driving back and forth to Chapel Hill when your mom was having treatment for melanoma. And you both were so worried, of course, but so much of what you shared was sort of the adventures you had to and fro, and learning all these life stories that your mom told and things you hadn't known. And it always sounded like you were reliving being a kid, but also discovering this new relationship with your mom as an adult. And it always warmed my heart, and it makes me excited to have that kind of relationship with my kids.
Thank you, everybody, for sharing.
Each time when we gather as a personal staff, we not only share the concerns that we have in our own lives, but we always take time to share the concerns that we're aware of in the larger congregation. It's our time to inform one another, but it's also our time to remind ourselves about what's going on in your lives. So I open this now, as we always do, to concerns that you may be aware of among the members of our congregation. Eve, let's start with you.
Y'all, I'm thinking about Bob Atwood. I was in touch with him this week. He's recovering after a health concern. He's got good community, people checking in on him, seems in good spirits. And I'm thinking about Lloyd Dillon and Brenda Dillon. Lloyd is still recovering from another health concern, and something else came up. And it's just, I'm worried about how much is on their shoulders, and sending them love this week.
Chuck Kelly had surgery, and he is at home recovering. Marcia said he's doing well.
Okay.
If I could, I would just like us all to take a minute and think about all of those who are going to be impacted by the opening of the schools and the universities in the coming weeks. I know tomorrow is CMS, but all the other schools are opening as well. It's such a tough situation out there. And I know the various levels of anxiety, some of which is very high. And I want to mention, John, you've shared with us before at these staff meetings, your reluctance or hesitation, because your school is going back full time. So I want to lift you up. And of course, the parents on our staff, Belinda and Jay, those of you who have kids in the home who are in the school system, I know you're probably concerned as well. Even if they're not going to be around other people, how do you teach them at home? So anyway, I just want to lift that up and just remind us all to be thinking about them.
I would also like to take some time out to talk about loss. And a lot of people in the congregation have lost family members, and we've also lost members of our community. And going through a loss during a time like this is especially hard because you don't necessarily get the closure that you really need. I would like for us to take just a moment to hold in our hearts those who we've lost in our community, the family members of those in our community that they've lost, and also hold in our hearts those who are suffering and dealing with the emotional impact of how this pandemic has changed the way that they deal with loss.
I'll add to that. I know we've got a lot of folks in our congregation who are in various retirement communities, and the challenge of that in these times under these conditions and what that means to be in a retirement community. I know many of them are isolated, lonely, confined in some cases to an apartment or to some other setting. We have members who are in in healthcare in retirement communities, and for them and for their families who often are concerned and don't have access to family members who are in retirement communities, who are shut off from the people they love, who are isolated. And I want us to continue to remember those folks. Anyone else, anything else that comes to mind as a concern in the congregation? As is our practice, I invite us now into a time of deep silence. We've shared some weighty stuff today, heavier than usual, even in these challenging times. Kathleen, thank you for bringing up education. And of course, as we think about public school and all of our teachers, educators, Alicia, you've mentioned that many of us are grieving and how hard that is in these times, and the health concerns that have been shared, ones that we know, conversations that we've had that we wouldn't even share with each other, but that burden us in our various roles and the conversations that we have. I want us to start by holding one another with love, aware of the challenge of trying to be the professional staff in these times, and particularly Alicia and Belinda, who have taken on new roles in the middle of this transition and challenge, and for each of us in what we face. And then let's hold space for those in the congregation about whom we are particularly concerned. Thank you all for what you've shared and for your ongoing concern for the members of our community.
Good morning. I am Kelly Green, Membership Coordinator at UUCC. I'm so glad you're with us today. If you are new, interested in learning more about us, how to get involved, or how to become a member, I can help you. You can email me at KELLY@UUCCharlotte.org. If you are watching the live stream at UUCCharlotte.org, you can click on the visitor link that's above the video box. If you are on our Facebook page, you can find my comment, Kelly Green, and message me from there. I look forward to hearing from you.
We would like to thank the members of our community for continuing to send in your pledges each month. For those who are sending in contributions that would have otherwise went into the collection baskets on Sundays, we would like to thank you. We rely on your continued support to allow us to do the work that we love and to create opportunities for our community to live out its values. During these uncertain times, your generosity goes a long way, and it is truly appreciated. We thank you.
Yesterday morning, while sitting in my car waiting to enter my dentist office for 2 hours of discomfort, I was listening to WFAE on my car radio. I wasn't really sure what I was listening to because I caught it in the middle of the broadcast, but it was several actors describing the audio drama that they are producing. Apparently, these productions are quite popular right now because the actors don't have to be in the same place. At any rate, the conversation had moved to the challenges of working collaboratively while physically apart, and actor Jesse Reisenberg shared his surprise that even during this very difficult time of pandemic, people are still able to connect, collaborate, and create. And not just do it, but do it successfully. I thought, a perfect segue into my reflection on staff collaboration, because these 3 words describe how we work as a team, both before this spring and now into our current workplace reality. Connect, collaborate, create. You've heard about the connections we forged during our personal check-in time already. But how do we use these connections, these understandings of each other and how we operate to do the work of the congregation? The answer, in a word, is we collaborate. The collaboration that takes place in our bi-weekly staff meetings, it takes place because each staff member has a voice on what is placed on the agenda and how those items are presented. Some agenda items are simply shared for information, but in most cases, the presenter is looking for insights or feedback. As a working community, our time together is guided by certain expectations around respect and around the democratic process. These expectations are designed to create the safe space to allow all of our voices to be heard. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention our annual brainstorming session in the Bernstein room. This day-long, we can't leave until we've accomplished all of our goals, annual session allows us to do the brainstorming that we as staff need to do to create the structure for the programming for the coming year to address our congregation's mission and vision. It's where our staff comes up with annual themes as well. Here we are challenged to better understand the issues that we then expect the congregation to be wrestling with. Could the work of productive collaboration occur without the sense of connection that underlies our staff interactions? There would certainly be less trust or less understanding of intent. So I am kind of curious how my colleagues feel about how well we collaborate or how exactly we do it. Anybody?
I think we work well together. A while back, we looked into our personalities, we learned our strengths and our weaknesses, and we used that as a tool to help us navigate this work. It allows us to be able to understand where the other person's coming from when they make their perspective. It allows us to be mindful of the things that they're experiencing as well. It's very democratic, it's very open, and I appreciate it. So I 100% echo you, Kathleen. We work very well together.
I really love that each of our opinions is valued, and we feel free to share, what it is that's on our hearts and minds, and it's respected.
I always find it helpful when I'm struggling to think through the process of something I'm really excited about or can't quite figure out how to make the most of an idea. You all help so much to fill in, Alicia, like you said, what my personality type, what my strengths and weaknesses can't quite get to. And I appreciate how you make my work stronger.
Casey, when you mentioned the Bernstein room, I immediately thought about, you talked about a day-long session, and my recollection is day after day after day when we were creating the whole new intersectional justice process. We had the benefit of the mission and the vision. We had the board's call to action, but we still didn't know, like, what's that going to mean in terms of how we actually operate in the larger community. And, you know, those of you who are there will remember, gosh, I don't know how many days we worked together on that with all of that newsprint all over the room and scratch throughs and breakthroughs and frustration, and where we created the whole concept of core groups and then engagement groups, and then how we would operate in the larger community, and how we would leave those sessions and go back and talk to other people, groups that we relate to, teams and whatever, and then come back together. And I think it's one of the most satisfying experiences I've had on the staff, because it did feel like it was fully collaborative. Each of us brought a piece of that, and it felt like, had each of us not brought the pieces that we did, it would have never come together in the way it did. I look back on those days. They were frustrating at the time, but I look back on those days with a lot of pride in how we worked together.
I appreciate how everyone's voice is important, regardless of their job title or status. You know, as the part-time kind of clerical admin for a long time, you all of you frequently would still say, "Belinda, what do you think?" and you would listen, and I really appreciate that. I didn't feel less than the rest of the staff. I feel like we all have an equal say in everything that we do.
And I would say that though we each have our areas, none of us really creates anything completely alone. Everything that we do kind of intersects and overlaps. And we all recognize that, and we all can take each other's strengths and help each other with our growing edges and make it happen together.
Thank you, everyone.
And now may we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and in miracle to the universe, to this community, and to one another. Go in courage until we meet again. Colleagues, thank you for this time together. And thank you for all you do on behalf of our community. This concludes today's meeting in record time.
Yeah.
See you all soon. Thank you.
See you soon.
Good work,
Everybody.
everybody. See you later.
Yay.
See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye for now.
See you
All
next
right.
week.
See ya.
So y'all know how I had this video date. And of course we had to talk about Unitarian Universalism, about our congregation, right?
Be careful. I think Belinda's still recording.
I know.
Ready?
Ready.
Ready?
Ready as we'll ever be.
Kathleen, that was your. We're so clever.
We are.
This not being evident. Melinda, none of this goes in the outtakes.
Right.